In 1916. During the First World War where France and England fought against Germany. There was a British soldier named Alan Alexander Milne, or commonly called Blue, who was seen fighting on the battlefield. Several months after the war ended, Blue was finally able to return home to live his life with his beloved wife, Daphne. Since retiring as a soldier, he decided to work as a novelist. As the years go by, Daphne is now struggling to give birth to their first child. From outside the room, Blue could only be silent, hearing his wife's screams of pain without being able to do anything, until the birth of a boy named Christopher Robin Milne. But Daphne and Blue gave him a favorite nickname, Billy Moon. At the age of 3 months, because he was too busy, Billy's parents agreed to hire a babysitter named New to take care of their child. Time after time, Billy always spent the day alone with New. Now Billy has grown into a cute kid, while Blue has now become a famous novelist. One night, at the launch of his new book, while he was giving a speech, Blue's trauma suddenly flared up. He again remembered the incident on the battlefield when the German troops massacred his friends. And he decided to leave the event. At home, Blue tells Daphne and one of his friends, Ernest, if all this time she has only pretended to be fine, when in fact Blue has never been able to forget the trauma on the battlefield before. He then invites Daphne to move to a house on the edge of the forest so he can calm down. At first Daphne refused. She felt that their life in London was perfect, but seeing her husband's condition was very depressed. Daphne had to agree. The next day, their family was getting ready to move. Blue is very relieved and believes that if he stays away from the crowd, his trauma will be healed. After tidying things up, New and Billy came. There Daphne gives a gift to accompany Billy to play. Gift: a little doll named Piglet, a stuffed tiger named Tiger, a stuffed donkey named Ear, and a teddy bear named Edward. But after moving for days, Blue actually seemed never to work. Every day all he does is walk in the forest, build a chicken coop, and play with Billy. Seeing that, Daphne was annoyed. Blue should be able to take advantage of the quiet in this house to write a new book, not just play around. Daphne was so upset that she threatened to go to London again if Blue still wouldn't write. But instead of stopping Daphne, Blue instead allowed Daphne to go. A few moments later, New appeared and said that if she and Billy were going to London, Billy had told her he wanted to see the animals at the zoo. As a mother, even when you're cranky, Daphne still makes time to accompany Billy to the zoo.
Like my boy.
That night, only Billy and New came home. Meanwhile, Daphne is staying at a friend's house. Daphne was planning to stay cranky until Blue could publish a new book. Tomorrow, New gets news that her mother is seriously ill. She then hurriedly asked permission to visit her mother. Now at home only Billy and Blue live. While Blue is writing, Billy says he wants his father to write a special book for him. Listen to Billy's words. Blue just realized that all this time he had never spent time alone with his son. Blue then took the time to take Billy for a walk around the woods. In the woods, Billy tells that he wants to change the name of his teddy bear from Edward to Winnie, to be the same as the name of the bear he saw yesterday at the zoo. Suddenly there was a bee. Blue then said, if there are bees, there must be a bee nest around here. If there is a bee nest, that means there is honey, and if there is honey, there must be bears. Blue then pointed to a tree. It turned out that there was a teddy bear belonging to Billy. Seeing his favorite doll, Billy was so happy. Day by day the two of them passed. The relationship between father and son seemed to be getting closer. Starting from eating together, playing together, to exercising together, while traveling together. Blue took Billy to see the swans in the lake. Billy then asked what was the name of the swan? His father explained that the swan was a wild animal that had no name. Billy innocently named the swan, Pooh. As night fell, Blue suddenly had an idea for his new book. He immediately contacted his friend Ernest to come home. When Ernest came, Blue tells the idea that he wants to make a children's book that describes Billy and his dolls. They both then tried to imagine the idea into a storybook.
The creatures in the...
Especially about Billy's teddy bear named Winnie, Winnie the bear. One day, Ernest found a poem. He then asked why a poem as good as this was not sent to the publisher. Blue replied that it was a poem written especially for Daphne and would never give it to anyone. Listen to Blue's words. Ernest was touched, and he then secretly sent the poem to Daphne in London. Read Blue's poetry. Daphne was deeply moved. The next day, Daphne decided to go home. Seeing his mother had returned, Billy was overjoyed. Daphne then gave the mother a kangaroo gift, as well as the kangaroo cubs that Kana and Roo.
I do see.
The next day, Ernest, Blue, and Billy go to a hill. On the way, Blue tells him that he plans to include Billy's name as one of the characters in his new storybook, Winnie the Bear. There Ernest suggested, how about using Billy's real name, Christopher Robin? Hearing the idea, Blue immediately agreed. without first asking the consent of the child. In fact, Billy really wanted to refuse, but he could only stay silent. When you get to the top of the hill, Ernest was so moved to see the beautiful natural scenery there. During the World Wars, where many European lands were destroyed, it was difficult to find a peaceful place like this place. Being able to see small children playing safely is a touching moment that is difficult for them to meet. That night, while working on a storybook, Blue felt that the name Winnie the Bear didn't quite fit. They had to come up with a new, more unique name so people could remember it. Immediately Blue remembered. His son once named a swan with a unique name, Pooh. The two of them then decided to change Winnie the Bear's name to Winnie the Pooh. The next day, New returned to work at Billy's house. Seeing New back, Billy immediately excited. For days, Blue and Ernest worked on their storybook. And after everything was ready, Winnie the Pooh's book goes out of print. In just a few weeks, Winnie the Pooh's book sold out all over Europe. Everyone really liked the work of the book. Until one day, when Billy was playing in the forest, seen there are two journalists trying to take his picture. The two reporters knew Billy Moon was the real Christopher Robin from the Winnie the Pooh storybooks. Not long after, New came and forbade them to take photos without permission while taking Billy away. At home, New reported about the two reporters this afternoon to Billy's parents. Hearing New's story, not angry, Daphne was actually happy and thought that Billy would soon become a famous artist. Daphne actually supports the journalists, as well as the media, to expose her child. The next day, Billy was invited to an interview by a well-known magazine. Everyone who knows Billy as Christopher Robin. Crowds come there. After that interview, Billy became more and more famous. Even the peaceful forest where he used to play is now the Winnie the Pooh Tourist Park. News of the Winnie the Pooh Tourist Park spread throughout Europe. Not only that, Blue and Daphne were also invited to America for the opening of the Winnie the Pooh teddy bear shop. At the opening party, some people continued to talk about Christopher Robin. Their Blue was disappointed. Back when he released a new novel, he was the one who was famous as a writer. But in this Winnie the Pooh book, everyone only knows him as Christopher Robin's father, not as a writer. On his birthday, Billy got a birthday wish from his father who was in America. Billy was very happy, because he had never received a birthday wish. But in the middle of the conversation, it sounded like someone else's voice. It turned out that the congratulations from his father were just pleasantries, because his father is now being invited to an interview at one of the radio stations. The words were just so that people would judge if the relationship between father and son seemed close. At the end of the conversation, when want to hang up, Blue says goodbye Christopher Robin. Billy didn't understand anything. He then asked New why his father always called him Billy, now instead calling him Christopher Robin. New didn't know how to explain it to Billy. The next day, Billy's parents came home. Just got home. Daphne immediately told Billy to change, saying they were going somewhere fun. Billy was happy and thought his mom and dad would want to take them out for a walk. But Billy was wrong. Blue and Daphne actually take him to a toy store. The store manager explained to Billy that he had made a contract with Billy's parents, that Billy had to meet his fans as Christopher Robin. Hearing this, Billy was annoyed. He didn't want to pretend to be Christopher Robin, but after constant reassurance by his father, Billy was forced to agree. When meeting the fans, Billy pretended to smile. Seeing his son's forced smile, Blue's heart ached. In fact, deep down, Blue knew that Billy wasn't comfortable with all of this. But Blue felt what he was doing now was right, because later the money from selling books and playing Winnie the Pooh will be given to Billy when he grows up. One afternoon, Time was playing with New. Suddenly Billy asked, "Is there a place in the world where people don't know Winnie the Pooh?" If there is, so Billy wanted to live there. Heard Billy's words just now. New is sad. A child as small as Billy should be able to live as himself, play whatever he likes, and get the love of his parents, not even pretending to be a fictional character just for the sake of other people. Billy's days are busy now. He had to reply to dozens of letters from his fans, walking around wearing the exact same clothes as Christopher Robin in the book, even interviews on several radio stations until late at night. Even though he was depressed, Billy continued to carry out his duties with all his heart. At night, when want to sleep, Billy sees New being picked up by a man. Billy is annoyed and doesn't want New to be taken by someone else. The next day, Billy told his parents about last night. Daphne and Blue there are very angry with New, saying that they have paid a high price so that New can focus on taking care of and making Billy happy. But New is instead busy looking for her own happiness outside the home. Listen to the master's words. New is annoyed. So far she has always worked well and tried to make Billy happy when his parents weren't home, but only because she went out on a date. She was even scolded. New then said it wasn't just because Daphne had already given birth to Billy. Then Daphne is already a good mother. Just giving birth. Cows give birth too. He was also fed up with Blue. It wasn't because Blue just gave him a living that his job as a father had been completed, if only to feed. Monkeys also feed their children. The real task of parents is to make their children feel the meaning of happiness in the family. With disappointment, New decided to stop. New then said goodbye to Billy. After all, New had been taking care of Billy since childhood. They had so many beautiful moments together. New asks Billy not to forget all their memories, so that they can continue to connect even though the two of them no longer see each other. That night, Blue continued to reflect on all of New's words. Blue was starting to feel that he had always been too busy, to the point of not having time to play with Billy. In the afternoon, Blue decides to take Billy out for a walk at the zoo. All visitors continue to pay attention to Billy, even the zoo owner is desperate to force Billy to take pictures with the bear. Yet it is very dangerous. The bear could have attacked Billy. From this incident, Blue realized that everything he had done all this time was not for Billy's happiness, but only selfish. At home, Blue again contemplated the incident at the zoo earlier. Now Blue has made up his mind. It wasn't long before Billy came. Blue reveals that from now on he will stop writing Winnie the Pooh books and will send Billy to boarding school. His father hopes to go to boarding school. Later Billy can socialize with his new friends as a Billy Moon, not as Christopher Robin. Hearing the decision, Billy was very happy. After so long having to pretend to be someone else, he was finally free to play himself. But unfortunately, at school Billy's friends actually bullied him. For years there, until they grew up, they continued to bully Billy by calling him a name he hated the most. That is Christopher Robin. Billy's hatred for Christopher Robin and the book Winnie the Pooh is getting bigger and bigger. One day at school, the government is currently conducting military service selection. Every child who is old enough is selected to be sent to war. When selected, it turned out that Billy did not pass. He was then sent home. In that year, every boy who was old enough was required to join the military service. But there are standards. That is, starting from weight, height, medical history, to physical strength. If you don't meet the criteria above, then they will be sent home. Well, the boy who was sent home was usually considered by the community as a loser or a weak person because he couldn't fight to defend his country. At home, his father takes Billy for a walk in the woods of the former Winnie the Pooh tourist park, which is now closed. See all the memories there. Billy's sick. He felt that Winnie the Pooh had ruined his life all along. Billy then asked his father to help put him in the army through the inside line. He was sure that with his father's inside connections, Billy would be able to join the war to defend the country. At first Blue refused. He was afraid that his son would die on the battlefield just like his friends used to. But Billy said that from a young age he always obeyed every command from his father without fighting back at all. All orders he always did even though he had to sacrifice his childhood. Billy pleads. Now it's Blue's turn to grant his wish. Hearing the request, with a heavy heart Blue was forced to grant it. A few days later, Billy's conscription warrant came out. Blue then took Billy to the station. While waiting for the train, Blue again begged Billy not to go. He was willing to give all his wealth to Billy this very second as long as Billy did not leave. But Billy's decision was unanimous. Billy said that if he accepted all the proceeds from the sale of the Winnie the Pooh storybook, it would mean that he agreed to become Christopher Robin. Become a fictional character who is not himself. From childhood Billy never wanted fame or money. He just wanted a father figure to accompany him to play. Billy's words had slapped Blue. Blue was very sorry that he had wasted precious time with his son. He remembered back when it was little Billy's birthday. He did not sincerely wish his son a happy birthday. Even at the end, before hanging up the phone, Blue actually said goodbye to Christopher Robin. But now, while watching the departure of the child, Blue said in his heart, "Don't go Christopher Robin. Don't go Billy Moon. Don't go my son." Arrived one day, Blue got a letter, and in the letter it was written that Christopher Robin Milne, or commonly called Billy Moon, was declared missing on the battlefield. Reading the letter Blue's heart broke. He kept crying in Billy's room. So much regret he felt. If only he had never written a Winnie the Pooh storybook. If he had paid more attention to his son, maybe none of this would have happened and Blue wouldn't have lost Billy Moon. Day after day, Blue spent with his wife full of sadness. Although there is a possibility that Billy is still alive, but all of that is just a possibility. That night, Blue prays and begs for a second chance to see his son again. If God answered his prayer, Blue promised never to waste Billy again. And that prayer did come true. It turns out that Billy is still alive and he is home safely.
Billy Moon.
The next day, Blue takes Billy to the hill where they used to be with Ernest. There Billy told his story to his father. When lost on the battlefield, his team separated from the battalion and almost died surrounded by German troops. In the midst of despair, suddenly one of his comrades was singing a Winnie the Pooh song. The song he hates so much. But when his partner sings, Billy begins to realize that the reason why everyone memorizes the song is because every lyric of the song makes people feel like they are at home. They felt safe, comfortable, and warm as if they could forget the cruelty of war even for a moment. Luckily, the reinforcements came to their aid. Billy and his team finally succeeded in repelling the Germans and Billy was able to return safely. Since then Billy has slowly been able to forgive his father, forgives the past, and begins to accept Winnie the Pooh in his life.
I could be wrapped around your arms instead of being lonely. We could be gazing at the stars, but now it feels just like I wandered off into a room and closed the door behind me. I never gave the key to you, even though I wanted to. I should be trying something new, but now my body's aching. I'm tired of dwelling in the dark, it's just that my heart can't take it. I didn't know what it would cost me when I let you go. I feel alone, and I'm just singing, It should have been you. Another time, another place, I just know. It could have been you. What a crime and what a shame to let go. Sometimes I just don't know what to do. It should have been you. I could be driving to your place, but now the ground is shaking. Could be a phase, but it feels like it will never go away until we make up.